When we talk about Russia, the same facts almost always come to mind. Its president, Moscow, the climate of this country, and its vast territory. But today, we will show you 30 facts about Russia so that you know more about it. So stay until the end of the video to learn about each one of them. Number 1. Russia is home to the deepest lake in the world, Lake Baikal. Located in Siberia, this lake is known for its incredible depth, reaching over 1,600 meters at some points. Number 2. Russia is known for its rich literary and cultural tradition, which has given the world writers such as Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and Pushkin, as well as composers such as Tchaikovsky and Rimsky-Korsakov. Russian architecture is also impressive, with beautiful Orthodox churches, palaces, and fortresses reflecting the country's rich history. Number 3. In terms of its history, Russia has witnessed countless events that have shaped the modern world. From the Tsars and the Russian Revolution to the Cold War and the fall of the Soviet Union, the country has experienced radical changes that have left an indelible mark on its culture. Number 4. Oymyakon is the coldest city in the world, with a temperature of 71.2 degrees below zero, a temperature that to date has not been recorded in any other city in the world. Number 5. Russia, despite being on another continent, is very close to America. The actual distance between Russia and Alaska is only 4 kilometers. It is closer to fly from Chicago to Moscow than to Rio de Janeiro. Which brings us to number 6. Alaska was part of Russia. The Russian Empire was so large and powerful that the Russians conquered the western part of the United States before Britain did. In 1867, the United States purchased Alaska for $118 million, today's value. Number 7. Peter the Great wanted to build a new Amsterdam when he founded St. Petersburg just 300 years ago, a city of water and canals, European style, where many small boats carried goods from one store to another, a faster and more comfortable method of travel and transportation at that time. Number 8. Familiar with a vast country and its rugged nature, the Russians became some of the world's greatest explorers. They discovered Antarctica during the 800-day expedition to the south. They also made millions of expeditions to Central Asia, Siberia, and the Arctic. Number 9. Today, St. Petersburg plays the role of the modern cultural capital of Russia. It has more than 2,000 libraries, 200 museums, and 100 theaters. Number 10. There was no slavery in Russia. Never. But until 1861, Russia had serfdom. It was a special status of many peasants similar to slavery. Number 11. Russians are not heavy drinkers. Actually, it's complicated. Some Russians drink a lot, especially if they live in depressed regions with a bad economy, cold climate, no infrastructure, and do hard work. But they do consume a lot of other drinks. Number 12. In Russia, people drink a lot of hot tea. You can drink 5 to 10 cups of tea a day. Normally, people drink black tea with sugar, but now many people prefer green tea or black tea without sugar. And yes, we might think that the way they pronounce words makes Russians grumpy, but that's not the case. Our number 13 speaks about the people who are very hospitable and always willing to help you, no matter if you're from the United States or Albania. Number 14. The first person in space was a Russian. This was Yuri Gagarin, a very famous man in Russia. The first flight was rushed to get ahead of the United States. It was extremely dangerous as some emergency systems did not work at all. Number 15. Lenin monuments still adorn every central square in every large town or city. Lenin Street is the main street of typical Russian cities. Lenin always stands proudly showing the bright future with his outstretched hand. Remember to like and share this content. Now, our 16th issue is about the Soviet Union and the war. The first days of the war were catastrophic for the USSR. The country lost about 2 million soldiers and numerous tanks and aircraft. Less than 10% of the soldiers who fought during 1941 survived until the end of the war. Despite all the negative factors, the USSR was the first country that really harmed the German army. Hitler's plan to conquer the USSR over several months turned into 5 long and exhausting years of fruitless war. Traces of World War II can still be seen throughout the European part of Russia. Many lands are still destroyed. Children were raised by their mothers and grandmothers because many men died. We still have many veterans of that war. Number 17. Russia has one of the most active volcanoes in the world, Klyuchevskaya Sopka. It has erupted regularly for the past 7,000 years. It is on the Kamchatka Peninsula and is the highest active volcano in Europe. Number 18. The Russian AK-47 is the most popular military rifle in the world. More than 100 million AK-47s have been produced since 1947. Number 19. Russia is the country of churches. There are churches everywhere. For example, in Suzdal, there is one church for every 200 inhabitants. Religion was very important in ancient Russia. Monasteries functioned as fortifications, so people could always hide within their walls. Number 20. 20 million Russians still don't have proper toilets. They use strange wooden cabins with holes in the floor and often slanted walls. Some people are too old to repair them. Others are used to relying on the government after 70 years of the USSR. Number 21. Russia has 12 million immigrants from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and other republics of the former Soviet Union. They come to Russia in search of a better life. They rarely have a good command of the Russian language. Russians don't like them. They associate them with increased criminality. People call them blacks because they usually have dark hair. These people are often not protected by the government. They have no money and they work hard. Number 22. 22.15% of Russians live in Moscow. Moscow and 15 other cities with more than 1 million inhabitants are attracting more and more people from the surrounding villages and small towns, especially from Moscow. There is a funny expression that there is no life beyond the Moscow Ring Road. Number 23. Russian cuisine is known for its diversity and rich culinary tradition, which is reflected in its signature dishes. One of Russia's most iconic dishes is borscht, a hearty and colorful beetroot soup that is served hot and is often accompanied by sour cream. Another must-try delicacy is pelmeni, a kind of dumpling filled with meat, which is steamed or boiled and served with butter and sour cream. We also can't forget stroganoff, a beef stew in a creamy sauce made from sour cream and mustard, served over rice or noodles. Number 24. In Russia, a country of vast expanses and varied climates, we find a diverse and fascinating fauna. From majestic bears and wolves in the forests of Siberia to reindeer and Arctic foxes in the cold lands of the north, wildlife in Russia is truly unique. In the vast steppes of the central region of the country, we can find a great variety of migratory birds, such as cranes and swans, as well as mammals such as deer and wild boar. In the lakes and rivers of the region, we find an abundant population of fish, such as salmon and sturgeon, as well as various species of waterfowl, such as ducks and herons. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of Russian fauna is the presence of such emblematic animals as the Siberian tiger and the snow leopard, two endangered species that find refuge in the remote mountains of eastern Siberia and in the high peaks of the Caucasus mountain range. Number 25. Moscow created a game as a way to test the capabilities of Soviet computers, unpretentiously christening the invention with the name Tetris, a mix of the Greek word tetra, meaning four, and tennis, which was the inventor's favorite sport.